What is my Adventures in Odyssey story? Why was it such a large part of my childhood? And how is it still impacting my life today? Well, to answer those questions, I'll have to start at the beginning.
Hello, I'm Cassandra Joy, and I'd like to tell you my Adventures in Odyssey story. I started listening to Adventures in Odyssey episodes at a very young age. I remember at 4 p.m. on the dot, my brother and I would rush to the nearest radio and turn it on because we had to listen to the newest episode. It didn't matter where we were, if we were home or in the car on our way somewhere. If it was 4 o'clock, we were listening to Odyssey. I'm not sure my brother and I would have stumbled on Adventures in Odyssey ourselves, but luckily we have wonderful parents who were familiar with Focus on the Family and not only used their tips and tools to help parent us, but also discovered Odyssey in the process. It's hard to pick a favorite character now because all of them feel very nostalgic, but as a kid I remember finding Mr. Whitaker's voice very soothing. Connie felt like an older sister, and Eugene, I loved Eugene. I feel like with Eugene's voice, you immediately knew what he looked like by hearing it. As far as who my favorite character is now, I don't think I could choose between the big three, Mr. Whitaker, Eugene, and Connie. Them together interacting was always humorous, especially Eugene and Connie, and how they would act like siblings a lot of times. Maybe I saw a reflection of me and my brother in Eugene and Connie. Maybe that's why I liked them so much. Odyssey has this wonderful way of making faceless characters feel like family. I think I'll always secretly want to visit Wits End for that reason. Choosing a favorite episode is pretty difficult because they're all so spectacular, but the ones I remember most vividly were the mystery ones. They were usually two-parters and often had to do with buried treasure or mysterious maps or secret hidden doors, and there was always a moral lesson to be learned. But I loved the treasure hunt, I loved the mystery and the puzzle solving. Those were the episodes that would always feed my little adventurous heart. The thing about Odyssey is that there isn't one singular storyline. It's like a tree with lots of branches. There are families and characters that intersect, but they all each have their own individual journeys. The storyline that resonates most with me are the ones that happen in the imagination station, when a character is taken back to biblical times. I can honestly say I learned more about the Bible through Adventures in Odyssey than I ever did in Sunday school. Bible characters that can often feel flat suddenly feel very real. Growing up in church like I did, I heard the typical Bible stories over and over and over until I could recite them by memory, but they were just stories. I believed that they were true, I believed that they happened, but it just felt flat. But the incredibly creative thing that Adventures in Odyssey is so good at is making you feel like you could reach into the Bible and pull out any character from the page fully formed. Boring or difficult to understand characters suddenly became alive and understandable. Stories that were a little hard to follow suddenly became grand adventures that I could tag along in. Whether it's sitting at the counter at Wits End having an ice cream, or jumping into the imagination station and having a whirlwind adventure. Adventures in Odyssey made me feel like part of the story. The characters, Wits End, brought so much magic into my life, gave me so much. I highly recommend Adventures in Odyssey to your children. It gave my childhood so much magic. I hope and pray it does the same for you. And that is my Adventures in Odyssey story.